Scott from Baltimore?
Yes. Yes, this is me.
Hi. What's on your mind?
Yeah, so there was an incident. There was a mass shooting in Baltimore over the 4th of July weekend where there were 2 people shot and two people killed and over 28 wounded. It got some attention on, the national channels and things like that, but it was mostly just covered as like, oh, there was a shooting in Baltimore, a lot of people got hurt or whatever. As the story started to come out, the police were saying things like, oh, we didn't know this was going on. The event didn't have a permit. So how are we supposed to know this was happening, this, that, and whatever. And as more and more information has started to come out, we were getting information that actually the Baltimore police helicopter knew about the party happening 7 hours before the shooting started. Following that, there had been 2 calls into Baltimore police dispatch about people having weapons at the event. One of which was met apparently with joking, saying that they would need to send the National Guard in to take care of things, and then didn't do anything about it. And then the shooting happened, and it was awful. And now after the fact, so people are still trying to figure out what actually happened. There's no suspects in custody. People are even still trying to figure out what the police knew and when. Because they've just been continuously lying. And on top of all of this, they just passed this new policy that is allowing the police to have their radio communications encrypted and delayed by 15 minutes, for public listening. This just went into effect today. So they're now even putting more secrecy on top of themselves, police department. To cover
their ass, notorious. Right? Because they essentially didn't respond in the appropriate time frame. Is this a poorer area? Is this a mostly non-white area? Yeah.
Yeah, so the neighborhood is, this is another, there's so many specific, Baltimore systemic things going on in this story. So yeah, it's a neighborhood called Vigeland, which is in, the very south part of the city at, the border of essentially, the city-county line. So it's also kind of in this, no man's land where neither police department wants to, take care of it because it's so close to the line, and they're both there's no one wants to take care of it. And it's a largely poor black area. I'm not someone who I'm oh, why weren't the police in this event and monitoring things? Because I am very much a pro abolition and whatever. But if this is the society that we've been sold and what we're supposed to live in,
right,
and that the police are supposed to be protecting us and these things, if they were called 2 times and a helicopter told them about what is their purpose? What purpose do they serve if they were called about this twice with people complaining about weapons and then 30 people are wounded?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why certain communities carry weapons more, because there isn't an actual policing force that serves the population beyond occupying it.
Right, exactly. And that's I'm not someone who wants a gun or wants to be around guns, but I'm also someone who completely understands the difference of opinion from people who live in a different world than I do, where that's a reality that it's just needed for protection or whatnot, because there's just no one to help you.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing how certain areas are over policed until cops are actually supposed to do what they say is their duty, which is public service, as opposed to being an occupying force. They'll over-police certain areas, no problem, when they can, jack somebody up and ask them if they have a gun or drugs or whatever.
Ideally, everybody wants a number they can call for emergency rapid response.
And this feeds cynicism about cops. Why would anyone come to the cops if they're not responding to major crises and they're only there to screw with
they're
you.
making jokes about it when
Yeah.
people are calling in for help. And like, you know, I don't understand why a reaction couldn't have been like, if there was a call about weapons, how do you not just be like, okay, we'll just put like 2 cars just a couple blocks away in case something happens, and just sit there. They're all sitting around just in their cars doing nothing anyway. Like, just position them. I don't know. And the biggest thing to me is just like the stories we've been getting from the police afterwards, that they're just saying like, we didn't know about this. This was an unsanctioned event. How are we supposed to do anything? Blah, blah, blah. And then they're complaining about like, oh, our staffing is so low because no one wants to be a police because we get criticized all the time. So no one wants to be a cop anymore.
Yeah.
And it's just like all of these excuses over and over. And I'm just like,
It's quiet
I just
quitting.
want,
Is what it is.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No one wants to work anymore. I don't get it.
I know. All right.
Anywho,
Well,
so I just wanted to get this out there. Thank you very much.
Scott,
I
thanks,
appreciate
Scott.
you taking long time, first time, all of that, and left is best.
left is best. Thank you.